The distress call came through at 300 hours, ship time. Mira Solon jerked awake in her quarters aboard the Wandering Star, her neural implant buzzing with urgency. The message was garbled, half in standard and half in Kresh, the guttural language of the galaxy's most feared apex predators. She'd been studying Kresh for 3 years now, ever since the Galactic Council had assigned her as the human liaison to the Kresh Dominion. Most species gave the Kresh a wide berth. Their fangs could pierce titanium alloy. Their claws left scars on reinforced bulkheads. They hunted for sport and considered mercy a weakness. Mira threw on her jacket and sprinted toward the communications deck. "What's the situation?" she asked, sliding into her console seat. The ship's AI, Vera, materialized as a floating hologram. Distress beacon from a Kresh patrol vessel. They've suffered catastrophic engine failure in the Calidor belt. Crew of 12, including, Vera paused, which was unusual for an AI, 3 cubs. Mira's heart sank. Kresh cubs were rare. The species had one of the lowest birth rates in known space, which made every child precious beyond measure. "How long until we reach them?" 18 minutes at maximum burn. "Do it." The Wandering Star lurched forward, artificial gravity compensators working overtime. Mira spent the time reviewing what little she knew about Kresh child-rearing. Cubs stayed with their parents until their first successful hunt, usually around age 7 in human years. They were taught that weakness meant death, that compassion was for prey species, that only strength mattered. When they materialized the Kresh vessel, it was worse than she'd imagined. The ship listed badly, life support flickering. Mira suited up and led the rescue team across the void. The Kresh warriors stood in formation despite their injuries, proud and defiant. Their commander, a scarred female named Chakra, growled at Mira's approach. "We require no assistance from prey species. Your cubs require warmth and oxygen," Mira replied calmly in flawless Kresh. "My ship has both. Your pride or their lives, choose quickly." Chakra's eyes narrowed, but she stepped aside. The cubs were huddled in the darkest corner of the dying ship, shivering despite their thick fur. The smallest one, Turco, according to the ship's manifest, was making a high-pitched whine that Mira's translator couldn't decipher. His siblings pressed against him, trying to share warmth. But their body heat was dropping dangerously low. Mira knelt slowly, making herself smaller, less threatening. She'd learned that predators responded to body language more than words. "Hey there," she said softly. "I'm Mira. I'm going to help you." Turco bared tiny fangs at her. Even terrified, even freezing, he was a predator. Without thinking, Mira shrugged off her jacket and wrapped it around the smallest cub. The effect was immediate. Turco's eyes widened, his shivering slowed. He buried his face in the fabric, inhaling deeply. "Come on," Mira said, scooping up all 3 cubs. They were heavier than human children, dense with muscle, but she managed. "Let's get you somewhere warm." The Wandering Star's medical bay became a temporary nursery. The adult Kresh refused treatment until their cubs were settled, a detail that surprised Mira's crew but not her. She'd learned that beneath their fearsome exterior, the Kresh loved their children as fiercely as any species in the galaxy. The problem emerged on the second night. The cubs wouldn't sleep. They paced, they whined, they clawed at the walls. Dr. Okonkwo tried everything: temperature adjustments, pheromone treatments, even playing recordings of Kresh hunting songs. Nothing worked. At 0200 hours, exhausted and desperate, Mira entered the medical bay. She'd been working for 20 hours straight, coordinating repairs with the Kresh engineers, arranging transport back to Kresh space. She just wanted to check on the cubs before collapsing in her quarters. She found Turco standing by the door, small and alone and miserable. "Can't sleep?" Mira asked. The cub made that high-pitched sound again. This time Mira recognized it. Not a threat, but a question. "Where?" "Where's what, little one?" Turco patted over and tugged at her sleeve with his teeth, careful not to break the fabric. Then he curled into a tight ball on the floor beside her feet. Understanding dawned slowly. Mira walked to her quarters and returned with an armful of blankets. Thick, soft, human-made thermal blankets that she'd brought from Earth. She spread them across the floor and lay down, creating a nest of warmth and fabric. Turco was on her in an instant, burrowing into the blankets with a rumbling sound that might have been a purr. His siblings followed, and within minutes, all three cubs were asleep, tangled in blankets and sprawled across Mira's legs. Chakra found them at dawn. The creche commander stood in the doorway, staring at the bizarre tableau. A human woman sleeping on the floor, covered in predator cubs who had been taught their entire lives that other species were food or rivals, never friends. "Explain," Chakra growled. Mira yawned. "They discovered blankets. I think they like being warm." "Creche do not need—" Chakra stopped. Turco had woken and was clutching a blanket corner in his small fist, making that sound again. The question sound. Chakra's expression softened in a way Mira had never seen from a creche. "What is he asking?" "If he can keep it, I think." The commander was silent for a long moment. Then she did something unprecedented. She knelt beside Mira and very gently touched the blanket. "This brings comfort?" "Yeah," Mira said. "Humans use them for warmth, security, comfort. We even have a saying, security blanket, something that makes you feel safe. Safety is for the weak. Safety is for the smart," Mira countered. "Even apex predators need to rest." Over the next 3 days, as repairs continued, the cubs refused to sleep without blankets. More than that, they refused to sleep without Mira's blankets, the ones that smelled like her. The adult creche watched with growing fascination as their fiercest young warriors, cubs who would one day lead hunting packs and command warships, dragged human blankets around like treasures. When the creche vessel was finally repaired and ready to depart, Chakra approached Mira one final time. "The cubs," she began, then paused. Mira had never heard a creche struggle with words before. "They have grown attached to your blankets." "They can keep them," Mira said immediately. "We cannot accept gifts from—" "It's not a gift," Mira interrupted. "It's a trade. You taught me that strength comes in many forms. Your cubs taught me that even the fiercest hunters need comfort." She smiled. "Fair exchange." Chakra studied her for a long moment. Then she placed her clawed hand over her heart, a creche gesture of deepest respect. "You have honored our children, Mira Solon. The creche do not forget such debts." As the creche vessel pulled away, Mira watched from the observation deck. Through the viewport, she could just make out small shapes pressed against the glass. 3 cubs wrapped in human blankets, waving goodbye. Vera's hologram appeared beside her. "Ambassador Solon, you've received 17 requests for interviews. Apparently, news of the human who domesticated creche cubs with blankets has spread across 5 sectors." Mira laughed. "I didn't domesticate anyone. I just shared something soft." But as she returned to her quarters, she couldn't help thinking, maybe that's what humanity did best. Not conquering or dominating, but finding the soft places in a hard universe and saying, "Here, this is for you. Rest now. You're safe." And sometimes that was the most powerful thing of all.